welcome back to my channel where we discuss all things money, marketing, and metaphysics. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you something called quantum physics and how it's actually related to the law of attraction. And by using quantum physics, you can attract more wealth and abundance into your lives. Now, before we even go into my tips and strategies on how to actually use quantum physics to help you get to that next level in your life or your business, I think it's really important for us to first understand, or for you to understand, what exactly is quantum physics. Now, it was interesting because before I created this video, I was really trying to find and research the most simplest way to explain what quantum physics is. But I think the best way to explain it is actually a personal experience of mine. Okay, so lately I actually purchased a remote control for my dog Fergie. So my dog Fergie likes to bark a lot. So when an Amazon guy comes over to deliver a package, she starts barking like crazy. Let's just say someone just walks past with their dog or just walks past in general, she starts barking like crazy. So anything that moves, anything that startles her, she starts barking. Now, if you have dogs, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Well, guess what? It's a little bit inconvenient for me because I work from home. So every time she starts barking, maybe I'm filming a video like this, or maybe I'm coaching one of my clients, it can be disturbing. And so one day I was actually on the interweb and an advertisement popped up that showcased a remote for dogs. So essentially all you have to do is press this button and your dog stops barking. Now I was a little bit skeptical because I was thinking, okay, how does this work? But there was so many good reviews of the product, which actually I think I'm going to link the product in the description below so you can give it a shot. But there were so many positive reviews that I was like, you know what, let me just give this a shot, right? It's not that expensive. What does it hurt to try? So I purchased it, I got in the mail, and I was so excited to use it. Turns out someone walked past our place in 30 minutes upon receiving the package. And I was like, perfect time to use this remote. So my dog starts yapping away, starts barking, and I pull out the remote and I pointed it straight at her. Okay. And then a remarkable thing happened. Guess what? She stopped barking. I was literally shocked because for me, nothing came out of the remote. Not a single sound, not a single noise. There was no vibration, nothing. In my ear, like within me, I couldn't hear anything. But apparently, the reason why the remote works, and again, I was researching this after I was blown away by this product. I started realizing and researching that the reason why my dog stopped barking was because the remote was actually emitting a certain frequency that only dogs could hear that humans can't, right? So essentially, dogs have an ability to hear things that humans can't. That's also why you hear your dog's ears perk up and you're like, what just happened? Like nothing happened, right? So again, dogs can hear much more than humans can essentially. And that's with any type of species, right? Like there are things that jaguars or like elephants can do than humans, for example. So the reason why I say this is because this is actual proof that essentially just because you can't see, hear, or even touch something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Okay, and that leads me straight to what quantum physics is. What quantum physics is basically the building blocks of the entire universe. Okay, if you want to get to know what the world is made of, then study energy, study vibration, study the building blocks of what this world is. Because a lot of people want to attract more wealth, they want to have their perfect partnership or relationship, or they just want to dream big and they want to achieve their goals, but they don't really understand the building blocks of what makes up everything. And so that's what quantum physics is, right? It's the study of how all of these things are even here on this earth, okay? So if we think about quantum physics, and I don't want to get too scientific, I actually want to talk to you as if I'm talking to a 7-year-old, because the thing is that quantum physics can be so sciencey and it can be so technical that I feel like I would be doing a disservice. But rather, I want to talk to you in terms of analogies, in terms of stories, so that you kind of understand what I'm talking about, right? Because who wants to hear all these technobabble stuff, right? So essentially, all quantum physics is, it explains the fact that we're all made up of atoms, right? essentially the smallest particle in our beings are subatomic particles. And we know this because there's the invention of the microscope. And when you look into a microscope, you can see the different cells inside our body. So obviously right now you can't see nothing, right? You see me, you see my body. It's very physical. Like you think that it's very physical, right? But if you take a microscope and you look into my hand, for example, right, you'll see that there's different cells, there's different bacteria, there's all these different things underneath the skin. But when you look even closer, there are things such as atoms and then subatomic particles. Now, these subatomic particles actually form together to create energy concentrations. And so essentially what that means is that our whole entire body and our whole entire being is made out of energy. Okay. And what's even cooler is that quantum physics states that basically nothing is real until it's observed, meaning that an atom is really just an existence of possibility. It's a possibility of an existence. And if that sounds confusing, basically what it means is that we decide if something is going to be real or not based off of observation. I'm going to repeat that one more time. So we decide that something is real or not based off of our observation. Okay? Here's another example, a real life example, okay? So here's a circle, okay? So I'm gonna draw a circle for you, okay? So in the circle, you have things that you know, right? That's probably about like, let's say in this whole entire circle of knowingness in this world, we probably only know 20% of things, right? For example, I know how to drive. I know how to speak English. I know how to speak Armenian. I know how to speak that's all I know how to speak, but I know how to do a lot of things. I can walk. So these are things that I know, right? And then there are the things that I don't know, but I know that exist, right? So for example, I don't know how to surf. I don't know how to speak Arabian, right? So those things fall under the things that I don't know, right? But I know that exist, right? So those are two parts. And then the rest of the circle is literally the things that you don't know that you don't know. Think about that. These are literally the things that you don't know that you don't know. So a good example is that when I was backpacking through Europe, this was many years ago, I actually met this woman from Kyrgyzstan. And at the time, before even going on this backpacking trip, I had no idea that this country existed. No idea. I didn't even know there was a country called that. And it wasn't until I met her that I realized that there was a country named Kyrgyzstan and there were people that lived there. And so again, everything that you think you know right now is just what you know and what you don't know. Everything else, including quantum physics and how it works, is things that you don't know that you don't know. Now you obviously know what quantum physics is, but right now I bet you your logical mind is thinking to yourself, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I can't hear it, or I can't see it, I can't touch it. How do I know that it's even true? Now, this is the part that I feel like you would have to be open-minded to this type of science because of the fact that you're right, you can't see those things. But science has proven that subatomic particles exist, right? We are made out of subatomic particles, in which that means that everything is vibrating at a certain frequency, right? So I'm vibrating at a certain frequency. My computer is vibrating at a certain frequency, and same with the camera that I'm filming, right? It's all a certain type of frequency. And the frequency of a camera, for example, may be different than a frequency of me, right? Like a human being. And so in order for us, right, now this is the steps on how to actually use this for our advantage, right? So how can we actually use quantum physics to help us attract more wealth and abundance? Well, think about it. All of those things, like wealth and abundance, is not something that you need to create, right? Albert Einstein says this, which is that energy is not created or destroyed, right? It already exists in this world, in this plane, and all we have to do is match our frequency to the things that we want. Okay, again, I'm going to repeat that one more time. We're actually essentially matching our frequency to the things that we want. So the things that we want already exist. We know that it exists because we see other people have it, right? And even if we don't see it, maybe it's there and we don't know. Okay, so the first step that you can do in order to essentially work with quantum physics and have wealth and abundance, become more attracted to wealth and abundance, and how to use quantum physics in a sense, is the first step is visualization, right? So visualization is something that I talked about in my previous videos, but I really want you to understand how quantum physics and visualization actually work together. Now we know that our thoughts, right, our words all have a vibration or all have a charge to it, right? And so let's just say that you're visualizing and you're visualizing things come up in your mind. You're sending energy, you're sending charge to those images. And here's the thing, let's say they're negative images, you're gonna get negative results. If they're positive images, you're gonna get positive results. But remember that an atom is still in a state of potentiality until it's observed, until there is charge to it, until there's attention and attention and attention towards it. And so therefore, with increased visualization, you're really able to see things come into fruition when you are repeating it, when you're consistently doing something. So I really urge you to try visualization. I talk about visualization in my other video and how to actually properly visualize. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but just know that you can actually use visualization in order to work with quantum physics in order for you to get the results that you want, okay? My second tip for you is speaking things into existence. Again, everything is made out of energy, right? Everything has a charge to it, and everything is made out of subatomic particles. So even our words hold a very strong vibration. So there was a study done by Dr. Yamoto. Again, I talked about this in earlier videos, but essentially he did this experiment where he was speaking kind words to, let's say, like water, and then the water molecules that showed up was really sad, and it was just gross, and it was just like, it wasn't pretty. And then he was speaking to another glass of water where the molecules were beautiful, like they came out really beautiful because he was saying beautiful words. So again, your words really matter, and you can really speak things into existence, okay? So if you're feeling like you're not in the space, or you're not in a place where you're at right now, you don't like where you're at right now, instead of continuing harping on it and talking about it and complaining about where you're at right now, be grateful. And that's the third step, is be grateful and be appreciative of where you currently are at the moment, right? So something just popped up in my head. Like, let's just say you have haters. Let's just say there's people that don't like you. How can you turn that around and be grateful for that? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I love my haters, because without haters, that means that I'm being polarizing, right? That means that I'm creating a response around people. And I also know that there's other people that love me, right? So me shifting my way of thinking, me looking at things in a different way, and just really asking yourself, you know, how can I see things differently, right? Because I know that with anyone that puts themselves out there, they're not going to be always loved by everyone. So again, it's really about how you reframe things, how you can be really appreciative of all the things in your life, even if they seemingly are bad to other people, right? Like my clients, really, like when they coach with me, a lot of my clients are like dreading having haters, right? And it's really about reframing that, and how can we see this differently, and how can we see that as a really good thing actually, instead of something bad, right? Okay, so just a recap of the 3 steps that you can do in order to really go along with quantum physics to get the results that you want. Number 1 is visualization. Number 2 is really speaking things into existence. And number 3 is being grateful for what you already have, because being grateful sends the message and the vibration to the universe that you already have what you want. And the universe will give you more of what you are appreciative of, right? Even if you don't have it right now, speak it as if it were true. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Do me a huge favor, let me know in the comments which step you're committed to doing this week. I'd love to know so I can keep you accountable. But without further ado, if you want to see more videos from me and learn more about, you know, money, marketing, and metaphysics, then make sure you check out these 2 videos over here, because I really break it down and I really go into detail a lot of the things that would be helpful when it comes to manifestation, especially in your life and your business. All right, I'm signing out. It was great speaking to you this week, and I'll talk to you next time.